are continuing our how to stay positive. Today's topic, which is one of my favorites, and I am such a huge believer that our thoughts shape our reality and shape us, really. We become our thoughts. So that's really what we wanted to talk about. And my name is Anuschka. I'm an empowerment health coach and energy healer.
And I'm Samar Tehrani. I'm a psychologist and an addictionologist. I practice out of the state of Virginia.
So thoughts shaping our reality. I've been learning about manifestation for quite some time now. I think it all started with, of course, law of attraction for me. And that was like back in 2007 when The Secret came out. And I realized what a difference it makes when we shift what we focus on, right? And there's so many quotes out there, like what you focus on grows, if you think you can or can't, you're right? There's so many different quotes out there regarding this. So that in itself was huge for me. And now I'm realizing it from an energetic standpoint. But I'd love to actually hear from your side too, Samar, how this whole thoughts become our reality, manifestation, and all that, how you've come across it in your life.
So I think there comes a time where you recognize and realize how exactly this works, but you have to tune in and pay attention. And and people, like a lot of times, people will say, and I've experienced it firsthand wholeheartedly, like I can be very honest about it, that when I set my mind to something, and it doesn't matter whether it's negative, whether it's positive, whatever it may be, it happens, right? And it's really funny because my car was recently totaled a few months back, and I may have talked about it, but I imagined that happening because of where I would park the car and when it happened, like I was actually afraid to say anything about it because in all reality, I totally manifested that happening. Like I remember walking out to my car every day thinking, because it was on a busy street, thinking, you know what, one of these days somebody's just going to smash into my car, because people would fly down the street.
And then it happened.
One morning, it was like knock, knock, the car's been totaled, and I could not believe it. Like it was so not a shock to me that right. I think my response to the reality of the fact that it had happened was like, oh, well, I mean, I knew it was going to happen. Yeah. So, it happened, right?
Totally.
So having said that, there are other things that happen in life. And again, you just kind of have to tune into it. So this is where, as a joke, I always tell my nieces and nephews, you better be really careful what you wish for, because it just might come true, right?
Yeah.
And what it is, Anuschka, is that we start to think about something, and that thought gears us towards, energetically moving towards whatever that we're thinking about. And it's as simple as that. I mean, I remember thinking, like having watched The Secret, it was like, okay, well, then tell me now how to do it, right? Like step 1, 2, 3. And step 1 is that it's a thought. Step 2 is that you keep thinking about it.
To feel it. Yeah.
Right. And then you feel it, like you almost see it happening, and then it happens. Now, and that's law of attraction, that you attract things, whether good or bad. And, as Louise Hay learning that, her teaching that I've learned, that she talks about actually this in such a simplistic manner, is that, be thoughtful of your thoughts. You have to think about, what it is that you think.
Being conscious is so important. Yeah. And really to go deeper, because that was my entrance to all of this was law of attraction, was The Secret. But then it's so much deeper than just Oh, just think something, because that's something a lot of people are skeptical about, right? They're like, oh, so if I just sit here on my couch and not do anything and just think it, I'm just gonna like magically create all this like millions of dollars. I'm like, no, that's not how it
No,
works.
no, that's not how it
That
works.
is not how it works. It's really about, and that you hit the point right there. It's really about having the thoughts consistently, consciously, which those thoughts, they actually trigger the emotion within us, the feelings of having something already. It's as if you, because the thing with our brain is, whether it's a memory or it's something we envision, there is no difference. It really doesn't make a difference for the brain. In the brain, if I'm envisioning that I already have, for instance, I don't know, I'm like, what is it that what's on my vision board here? For instance, let's say I have this retreat center, right? If I continue to envision that it's already mine, it's already out there, then there is going to be alignment with the universe that comes to you. You end up attracting that to you in order for that to become reality. And that's the case for not just something external, but for ourselves too. For instance, with me, like having gone through all the health journey and issues, I mean, I could have easily taken the thoughts of like fear and, oh my God, I'm gonna die because the doctor said I'm gonna die. Or I created my own reality and I said, I'm gonna be the healthiest and best version of myself. And I said that consistently over and over again, and I envisioned it, and I created a vision to 90 and beyond. And I do feel like I'm the healthiest that I've ever been. So to me, it's not only for external, but it is your internal as well.
Absolutely. And in the past few months, you know this, our viewers don't know this, that I've been doing a lot of energetic work with you and Jacob Moya.
Yes.
And different journeys, right? He does a lot of my clearing and healing, and you're doing a lot of my coaching. And I am advertising both of you, just to make that very clear, because it's made such an impact. It's made such an impact in my life. And I think that part of the human experience is to share these things, right? I remember the first session I had with Jacob, because I did not want to, again, law of attraction, manipulate or manifest anything, and I just wanted to go into this experience and just experience it without any, manifestations or manipulation. I asked no questions. I didn't even ask, like, what is a session going to be like? Right? I pulled myself completely back. And part of that is because, again, in the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, probably the past year, right, in this like calendar year, I have become so conscious of the fact that I totally manifest things. And once you become conscious of it, you start to notice how you actually, you do it anyways. If you're conscious or unconscious of it, it doesn't matter. You do it anyways, right? Like, I've always done it, except I was not as tuned into it as I have been in the past few years, and mostly this past calendar year, really. And with the energetic work, one of the things that I'm starting to recognize is that when you clear all the energies that, probably don't need to be carried by you physically, right? It's almost as if you tune in a lot more clear, and it's so much easier to experience the fact that you manifest stuff. I mean, I remember, if you remember when that thing happened to my car, I told you, but I said, but I'm afraid to say it to anybody because I totally manifested this happening. If you remember, I said
I do. I remember that.
I was afraid to say it to anybody else, but I said it to you. I mean, now I'm not afraid to say it,
Well, because it's like, oh my God, I can actually manifest something. That's when you first start to become conscious of it.
It's scary.
That's the scary part, because you're like, oh my God, I need to really be careful or whatnot, right? Whereas it really is being conscious of it. Because for me, I mean, I have so many examples. I actually have a list. I call it my magic list. And I actually write down every time something, because I just call this magic, right? For me, when I think of something and boom, it's like boom, it's like as if like a wand was taken and you're like, you know, what is the abracadabra, and it just shows up. Like for me, that's my magic list. And so I keep track of it. I keep track of the different things that constantly happen. And similar to you, the first time that I really noticed like, holy cow, I manifested something was I got laid off from Qualcomm a few years ago. I never talked to anybody about dreading to go back to work. Never. I only thought it. And it was so interesting because it totally manifested that way. And it took me like a whole day to be like, oh my God, I've been dreading to go back. I didn't want to go back, yet I never spoke of it. And it got manifested. So it was really easy for me to, I mean, of course, I was a little freaked out for that day, but the following day I was like, oh, thank you, universe, because I didn't want to go back, right? And so, I mean, that's just like one example. Like I create parking all the time and the more you say it, the more, because I always say it, I'm like, I create magic parking. I create magic parking. You're putting that out to the universe, which then creates more of that for you. And that is my dog. I don't know what's happening out there.
I know, and I just looked at my dog because I'm like, oh my God, now my dog's going to respond to your dog.
Yeah, sometimes I think Ashkan was playing with them. But yeah, so that's really the thing. And I do want to leave everyone with a quote that I absolutely love, and I post it regularly, but because energy is huge, as Samar talked about, right? The energy that we hold on to needs to also be cleared, because sometimes we'll do the conscious work, maybe even do subconscious healing, but the energy of it may remain. So energy is everything, and everything is energy. It says your thought begins it, your emotion amplifies it, and your action increases the momentum. So action is also very crucial when it comes to manifestation too. Like I said, you don't just sit on the couch and have the thoughts and abracadabra, things happen, right? There are actions that you got to take in alignment with what you are desiring to create.
And I think the most important lesson in all of this for me is that, like the car situation, you know, again, you know, I thought until it happened, right? I mean, it just, and however, with other things, I've learned, you know, throughout the years that it's not like you have a thought and you snap your finger. You have a thought, you keep thinking about it, and you keep making it more vivid, and you give it color, and you give it texture, and you give it smell, and you keep manifesting it in your head. And what happens is that then your thought process aligns to where you want to go, and then from there, what happens is the path opens and you are a lot more aligned with that path, and you take action steps. But that's where the action steps are actually. So totally. So it's not like, oh, done. It's not that simple.
And you don't want that, because you got to be ready too. And that's the other part of it, is you got to be ready. If you just say, hey, I want like a Tesla, and it just boom shows up in the middle of your house, like that wouldn't work, right? So it's really not being attached to how it shows up, being open to it and knowing that it will, and surrendering to the faith that it is going to show up, or that it already has. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We went a little bit over than we planned, but
yeah. Do you have any on Facebook?
I didn't see anything. Let me see. Although it did freeze on me too.
Did it?
Yeah, it looks like we don't have any questions on either side, but anyhow, well, thank you all so much for joining as usual. Happy Friday. And if you ever want to take your health, well-being, or even your energy to another level and clear some of the energy that you think you're holding on to, or emotions of any kind, feel free to reach out to us, whether direct message or comment on here, however that looks like for you. And we'll definitely get you going on that side. All
Have
right.
a good one, you guys. Have a wonderful Friday and stay safe. Bye.
Bye.